welcome back to our library of yoga postures. And today I get to show you my favorite pose called Shavasana, also called corpse pose or the final rest that you do at the very end of the yoga practice. Now, as the teacher, this is my favorite pose to teach, and I am so excited to demo to you some of the ways you can set up your props to be super duper restored in your Shavasana. So for today, I would say grab a blanket, two blocks, and a strap or something that can work like a strap. And let's start with a simple neck bolster for your neck as our first version of Shavasana. So take your blanket and open it up to a rectangle like this and roll up the long end of your rectangle into a little rolled up bolster. So this will be for your neck. And as you come down onto your back, place this roll up blanket just at the base of the head, right where the head and the neck meet. And if it feels like it's too high for you, you can just simply unroll the blanket a little bit and keep the back of the neck still rather long so that the chin is hugging downwards. Now for your arms, you can keep your hands somewhere on your body. Sometimes it's nice to rest the hands on the belly or maybe on the heart. Otherwise, you can relax them by your sides and roll the palms skywards so that the front of the chest, the fronts of the shoulders can relax and soften. Now for the legs, you can have the knees bent, the feet slightly further apart, and the knees just resting against each other at the center. Otherwise, you can stretch your legs out wide. Sometimes it's nice to take the feet as wide as the mat and just let the feet kind of splay out to either side. And before you rest, maybe just wiggle the feet a little side to side, and that helps to release any tension that's still kind of holding on in your legs or the pelvis. You can even wiggle the pelvis a little side to side. And this is variation 1. All right. So let's go on to variation 2. Now variation 2 will be very similar, but instead of a little bolster for your head, you're going to take this little bolster and place it instead for your thigh bones. And I like the bolster right at the base of the thigh bones, right where the hips and the thighs meet. And that creates a little bit of extra space there for your lumbar, for your low back. And that feels really nice. And again, extend the arms, open up the arms, the chest, the collarbones. And just really allow your whole body to drop down into the ground. And this is variation 2. Let's use the block for another option. Another option is you can use the block to add a little release for the neck. So in this case, I'm going to take one block at the base again of the head. And you can have it a little bit angled or flat. See which works for you. I like mine a little angled, but if it's too cumbersome, then just leave it flat. And I'm going to take my arms into a T. And then you can gently turn the head a little to the left. And my block is sliding, so I'll go ahead and leave it flat now. Let's see here. Aha, there it is, better. And then turn the head a little to the right, really massaging the right side of the neck. And then back to center and a little to the left. So this is a way you can traction the neck and give the sides of the neck, the center of the neck, a little massage as you rest in your Shavasana. And notice as I go side to side, the movement is very tiny but I'm feeling a huge sensation in a very positive way, right where the neck muscles are supporting the skull, my head. And as much as you can, allow yourself to relax down with gravity into the floor. All right, so those are 3 options for you. Shall we keep going? These are also great. And even just showing you those 3, I'm already feeling so restored. So let's continue with the blocks. And there's an option here with the blocks to have your feet, soles of the feet together, knees wide, and you'll support the outer thighs with your 2 blocks. Now, to make this extra special, you can take this rolled up blanket and tuck it on top of your feet and under the ankles. So the ankles are also supported as well as your outer legs. And then recline down. And then if you had a second blanket, you could do that rolled up blanket bolster for your neck. So this is the reclining butterfly version of Shavasana or Supta Baddha Konasana. This is a nice way to passively open up the inner leg line. This decompresses the lumbar spine a bit, and with the blanket and the blocks, your legs are supported while receiving this gentle opening. And of course, in all of these variations, the recommended time to stay is about 5 minutes. And it just takes that long for your nervous system to really come down and receive rest and receive rejuvenation. And if you can do it for 10 minutes, that's even better. All right. So that's, I believe, now variation 4. So roll to one side and I'll show you another setup. So to kind of continue with this low back release trend, you can take your 2 blocks and place them on the middle height, and then take your rolled up blanket on top and place your knees on top. Aha! And then go ahead and recline down. So now the legs are slightly elevated than the hips. This creates extra space again for the lumbar. And then if you do have a second blanket, it might be really nice to put that little blanket or little pillow roll underneath your neck. And again, your favorite variation for the arms. Sometimes I like my arms going upwards towards my head, almost like in a diamond shape. This helps to open up the front of the chest, across the armpits. And this variation is a little bit more energizing. So for example, if I'm doing my yoga practice at the very beginning of the day and I really look for more energy at that time, then arms overhead might be really nice. But if you're winding down the day or really looking for restoration, then arms down towards the hips is a more grounding variation. And then again, palms on belly will be even more grounding, really connecting you down to the earth. All right, I believe that's version 5. These are all so great, and I could stay in all of these for a very long time. So I'm going to show you 2 more versions, and they are slightly related and slightly not. One of them you can use a wall, and one of them will be without the wall. So let's keep this set up here. So you can also use a strap to help support the legs. So I have a little loop in my strap. So make a loop in yours, or if you're using a scarf, just tie it around your thigh bones. And you want the loop to be wide enough so that your thigh bones are together, but can just relax out against the strap. And then the strap just keeps the legs together, so the legs don't have to work very hard. They can just relax into the boundary of the strap. And then you can still do the same little setup there with your blocks and your blanket roll for the knees. Feeling really nice and good for the low back, and I'm scooping my tail forward. And you can relax the arms by your sides. Now, the way I really like to settle into these postures is by using my breath. So take a slow breath in through the nose and sigh out the mouth. And I'll repeat that about 3-4 rounds until I feel really settled and relaxed. Now let's talk about coming out of Shavasana. The best way to come out of Shavasana is to bring the knees into your chest and then roll to one side. And it's really important to take a moment on your side and give the body a moment to kind of adjust, right? So your head was down as low as the heart. So your heart needs to change how it's moving the blood. So now we're going from being completely flat to on the side, and then from the side to seated where the head is now elevated, right? So you want to give your brain and heart that moment of reset before you just jerk upwards. So I'm going to show you one final version. The last version is for those of you that cannot lie on your back, either for whatever reason, or a lot of moms, when they are in their second and third trimester, lying on their back is not preferred. So you can do Shavasana side lying. So for this, it might be really nice to have a blanket for a little pillow. So I'm going to fold my blanket and make a little pillow for my neck. And I'm going to have my 2 blocks handy. So go ahead and lie onto your side, and then you can place an arm here, or you can tuck one of your blocks here to make a little extra pillow. That feels rather comfortable. Now you can take the second block and place it between the knees so that the knees are in line with the hips. That's really nice. If you have the luxury of a bolster or another pillow, you can kind of hug the bolster with your arm, or just rest the arms together. And this is another way you can practice Shavasana side lying. This also feels extremely relaxing. All right, so Shavasana broken down using a few props, blocks, blanket, and a strap. Now, I really want to make sure that you understand the importance of Shavasana. Sometimes we are so busy, and when we get to the end of our yoga practice, especially when practicing at home, that when Shavasana comes, you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to save 5 minutes and get on with my day. And I'm very guilty of doing that too. But if you can, give yourself that extra 3 or 5 minutes, right? It's not a big deal. It's not a huge time ask. But that practice is really incredibly nourishing, right? The practice of Shavasana after your vigorous yoga practice is kind of resetting you, regrounding you, kind of letting the muscles incorporate everything they just learned, letting the brain really kind of settle and tune into the breath and the feeling of the floor, the earth underneath you. And it just does wonders for revitalizing you. So don't skip that practice for yourself. Give yourself that gift of 3 minutes, 5 minutes of just rest. Thanks for watching. See you next time.